What was the next phase?
The next phase was we were to each branch out. And so that meant for Kathleen, Denise, and I, we added some people to a meditation group, and we met every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. We met for about an hour, and we would go in and meditate and meet with the council. And we would get direction on what we were to do, who we were to talk to. And then from there, we did that for 2 years. And then they let us know that we were to each branch out on our own, and they had other work for us to do. So we met in October of 2023 with the Greater Reality film crew, and they recorded one of the channeling sessions, and we talked about our research. And then in the book, The Greater Reality, Ray Hernandez is the one, his story explains how it all came to be. And so my account of what I've been through is in volume 5 of his series. And you can get it from A Greater Reality from the website and read that PDF for free.
greaterreality.com/buy books. And then people can download the PDFs of all 5 books.
Yes.
And read them, because I read your chapter for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where people can find that. Yeah, and the movie, I have the trailer for it.
My name is Reignerio Hernandez. I'm a tax attorney. I had zero interest in anything that was paranormal related. And then, holy shit, what the hell just happened? I knew that this was not a dream. This was very, very real. And I needed to find out what happened to me. I set out to interview the experiencers, PhD academics and medical doctors that had been researching all of these paranormal experiences.
I'm able to travel outside of my body on the astral plane, and I have done since I was 9 years old.
The first time I had an experience with the beings, I was about 5 years old.
I had a hunch that these orbs were something out of this world.
Would have an out-of-body experience 3 or 4 times a month, and I've learned how to move, fly, walk through walls.
The elements of a near-death experience are separation of consciousness and out-of-body experience.
There were beings, spiritual beings swirling around me and bringing me peace.
I would say my near-death experience in many ways changed me completely.
We are saturated with intelligent life, right here and right now.
I see some creatures in the room. The big head, the black eyes, the long fingers.
I was shown things that you just don't see in this world.
When I opened my eyes, there was Katie, this little girl spirit.
For me, all of this is under one rubric.
Consciousness includes the physical universe. It includes the cosmos. Everything we know about quantum physics and cosmology.
Consciousness is the most fundamental energy of the universe.
We share a collective consciousness.
I think that the brain is a projection of consciousness.
Everything ultimately evolves to the soul itself. This is just the physical container.
And it's only by bringing all these pieces together, both finding their commonalities and how they can each inform each other, that we can then see the big picture.
I set out on a quest to find out what happened to me. Began to realize that there are literally people all over the world having very similar experiences. Is there life after death? Do we live in a simulated reality? Is it possible that all of these paranormal experiences are somehow interrelated?
It's as if it was trying to tell us something. All of these are related. Now it's up to you to figure out how.
Wow. So we've been through your whole life history so far with all of the different encounters, and it seems that a lot of the encounters in the beginning were more spiritual encounters with seeing ghosts and the paranormal, but you did have Robbie, who was or is an ET, like a gray. And do you work with Robbie now, or
I work mostly with Shiva. She's part of the Council of Eight, which is who I met through Kevin, and her name's spelled Sheeva. She has actually appeared to me in a physical form somewhat. It was, she's about 7 feet tall when I see her, and she's like shimmering blue, iridescent blue, and she has bird-like feather wings. And she laid on top of, not in a bad way, but laid over me and hugged me and just said, "You are my daughter." And she said, "I don't mean that. I mean that literally. You are my daughter." And she said, "I will work with you." So one of the gifts that she gave me is the ability to take people on the craft into a healing chamber. And she said that I am to be the facilitator of that. I can share it one-on-one with people, but they are not to share it with others. And the reason for that is it's a very powerful tool. And if it were put into the wrong hands, it can have negative consequences. So I'm very careful when I work with somebody to take them into that chamber, that they understand this is for you, not to be shared with others.
Now, have you used the healing chamber yourself?
Many times, many times.
What is it like? Can you tell us about the most profound experience?
Yeah. I take people through a meditative state and through a chamber so that you are going from this dimension to another dimension. So we have to rise and they have to come down. So I take people through, it's the way I explain it when I'm giving the instructions, it's like a bell-shaped curve. It looks like the bottom of a roller coaster, and you give the command for that to pull to the side, and then an aperture, an opening opens and the light comes through and you walk through and you're on like a landing pad. And then to the left is the craft. And as you enter the craft, there is a viscous substance. It looks like slime. It's purple. And the reason for that is it cleans us of anything that we're bringing in, any bacteria, anything that would not be helpful to them. And Shiva greets us there and walks us back to the chamber. And in the chamber, each pod, it's like a conveyor belt, and it would be like a ride that you'd see at Universal Studios. She taps the pod, you get in the pod. It is very comfortable temperature-wise. It is very comfortable the way you sit or lay down, and then it takes off at warp speed, and it just discombobulates your whole body and puts things back in order, and then you come back down on the pod, and then she walks you back out again through the viscous liquid, and then back into your place, and then I bring the person back to the present reality. So the most profound one I've had, let's see. The one that I did, that I helped facilitate, was with a person. I'm not going to mention names because people would know the person, but this particular person had had a professional career where he was to heal other people, and he had an issue himself. They could not be healed. So there's a bunch of us that worked on him that weekend, including taking him to the healing chamber and to do Reiki, and then to do a thing called reconnective healing on him. And at the end of the weekend, his pain was down to a 1, and it had been a 9.
With all of these experiences that you've had throughout your life, personal experiences, and also the experiences that you've learned about from your clients, when did you all put it together? When did it all make sense to you, or has it? Maybe it hasn't yet made sense. But have you?
It's a process. The added component was about 3 years ago now. I watched Jimmy Blanchett talk about his research with walkie-talkies. So I got some and began experimenting. You set it at a certain frequency, and I've got them right beside me, set at 144.081 or 440.000. And this is a way for beings and the council to communicate with me. And one of the things that happens is when I'm making a connection, either doing a Sky Watch CE5 event, or when I'm just trying to connect with them, and I'll ask, would you please respond? It will either be some static that sounds like it's Morse code, or it'll be beeps. And if I ask in particular, can you do 1 beep for yes, 2 beeps for no, I will get a response. So one of the things that Kevin Briggs and I did, we were at a Skywatch and the radios were there, and we were asking for there to be a connection with the Council of 8. And so we put out the message and nothing was happening. So we said to Kevin, why don't you broadcast on the walkie-talkie to ask? So he picked up the walkie-talkie, not realizing he had to push the button. He just talked into it and said, could you please? So we started seeing where he had requested that we saw a craft in the sky and a flash of light, and then a voice, a female voice, came through the walkie-talkie. And then we said to him, do you realize you never pushed the button to transmit? He said, no, I didn't realize that. So we were getting validation there. So this kind of thing is ongoing. As I learn more, I do more, I find out more, I try more, and I trust. So the most recent thing Kevin told me that the council told him was all of the messages that I've gotten on the walkie-talkies. I was to sit down, the ones that I had recorded, and to meditate and to get the answers to what they were saying. So I did that. And I was able to translate what it meant for me. And then we have a colleague, someone that Kevin and I both know. She did research with it. She took the walkie-talkie transmission and put it into some processing equipment, and she got a message from it. So it's ongoing, and I don't know what's next. I just trust the process and tell them I'm willing and able. Just direct me.
So when you're using the walkie-talkies, they're not always talking through it. Sometimes it's just beeps and sounds.
Most of the time, it's just beeps. Yeah, beeps or static. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you think that they just speak straight out? Why can't it be easy?
Because they're telepathic, and they say they don't need to speak. They can tell me, and I will know if I'm missing and they're trying to tune into me. They'll put a high-pitched squeal in my right ear that says, hey, we're trying to get your attention. And I'll go, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And sometimes they or my spiritual guides will give me information about the client I'm working with, because ever since my near-death experience, I've been able to have contact with people who have transitioned, or beings, or the spiritual guides of the client I'm working with. And so I will say to the client, if they're open to it, okay, I'm seeing somebody that has on a ruffled kind of shirtwaist dress. Does that relate to anybody you know? And the tears will come. They go, oh, that's my grandmother. I always wanted proof that she was around me. And I said, well, they're telling me she's here. And so that's how I share that gift.
You were probably clairvoyant from when you were a kid.
Yes.
So you've had this gift all along, the sensitivity.
My mother had it. My grandmother, her mother had it. My daughter has it. My grandson has it. So it's a generational thing.
Oh, wow. But can people who don't naturally have that gift of clairvoyance, can they develop it?
I think that it is possible. You might have other gifts that would be yours, maybe not that one, but you can take classes to learn how to develop that skill. So yes, I believe it's possible. Okay. But you got to get out of your left brain to do it.
Right. It's more of a the creative side of the brain.
The right side, the intuitive, yeah. And what I will tell people is, it may sound crazy, but just follow it through. If it's negative, don't do it. But I'm saying if it's positive and it says you need to call so-and-so, just do it and see what happens. They'll go, okay, if you say so. They're going to think I'm weird. I said, well, you don't have to tell them you got this message. Right. Just call them up. And more likely than not, they'll say, that person told me they were just thinking about me and were going to call me. I said, uh-huh.
Right. Because we are, like the trailer said, we are all connected. We are in this quantum soup, and we are all connected, human and ETs, but we haven't necessarily been open to communicating with our star family, which is what I like to call them, even though I'm not an experiencer yet. Because for me, experience, I want to see them with my eyes. I mean, yes, I get messages here and there, but it's not like I'm trying to talk to ETs. I feel like I'm talking to my angels, my spirit guides, things like that, asking for guidance, and whatever I get, I go with. Can anyone kind of try to have a relationship with our star family, our extraterrestrial friends out there?
I think that there are different types for different people. One of the council members, his name is Zark. It's spelled J-A-R-K, pronounced like Z-A-R-K. He's a scientist, an educator, and he's very funny. He does things to get our attention. So what he does with me is he'll take one of my earrings. I'll lay him out on the bed, go get my shower, and come back, and one's missing. I'll go, all right, Zark, where'd you put it? And I can just hear him laughing. It's like, it's just material things. It's not important. Well, it's important to me. It belonged to my mom, so put it back. So sometimes he will, and sometimes he won't. But others relate to different members on the councils. Other people relate to other councils. So, we're not all cut out of the same cloth. So what appeals to one might not to another.
Let's talk a little bit more of this Council of 8. There are 8 different beings that's part of this council that you guys have been communicating with, and that's Kevin and
Kathleen Martin and Denise Stoner.
Okay, and yourself and Kevin are the 4
we
humans.
were called the 4 Musketeers. Yes, that was what
and so you've been communicating with the Council of 8. So talk about the Council of 8. I understand they're different species, different types of ETs.
They're different beings, different backgrounds. And when you have Kevin on, he can explain it better than I can. But Ra is kind of the overseer. He's not the Egyptian Ra, it's R-A-H. He hasn't been in physical form in a long time. Ort and Dee are husband and wife, and they are tall, and I think they're Arcturian, but Kevin can validate that. Zark is gray, and Targ is a gray. Chica's a praying mantis. Orla, I think she's a tall white. And Arna, I'm not sure what her species is. And then Shiva hasn't been in physical form in, she said, like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 years. So she appears to people in different forms depending on what relates to them.
So how often do you meet with the Council of 8?
I can pretty much meet with them at will. Sometimes they're not available, and they've told me, they said, you're not the only person we communicate with. I said, oh, okay, sorry about that. I thought you were my personal counsel. No, we have many we work with. So I can ask a question, and sometimes the answer doesn't come right away. And I keep a journal on a regular basis where I will check in with them. Sometimes in the morning, I'll just go, got any assignments for me today? And sometimes they'll go, yes, we do. As a matter of fact, we want you to do this. And it's like, how am I going to have time to do that? My schedule's busy. They said, we will make the way. It's like, okay. And by the end of the day, it's like, oh, somebody canceled. And so I had time to do what they suggested. All right, trust the process.